Good morning, everybody. I am sitting outside in this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful morning. I really am. It is beautiful out this side this morning. I was going to do this live in the house, but I said, nah, let me go ahead outside. Hope everybody's doing well. I know I am. This is a beautiful, beautiful day. It really is. I'm going to take a couple minutes and let some people get in here. But good morning. Gotta watch all these walls flying around. If y'all hear the birds, y'all know I'm outside and it's active. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I was gonna do this live while I was taking a walk, but I said, nah, let me sit still. Let me sit still. That's what I'm gonna do this morning. Hope everybody slept well. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. The time is at 8:07. I'll wait for about 3 minutes and then I'll get into this real fast and get off of here. I had to put the sunnies on. It was real bright out here, though. I tell you that much. You look at my eyes. It's real bright out here. Wow. They speeding through here 4 early this morning. I remember this time of morning when I was a kid, all the kids were outside. People would already be playing. But let me hurry up before they do start coming out here and cut grass. So, good morning, everybody. I was going to wait till 8:10, but I'm going to start now. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing extremely well. Um, last couple of days, people have. I put a post out there. Everybody knows I'm always posting about, life and transition and growth and things of that nature. And I do it because, one of my strong points and purposes in life is not only mental wellness, but community advocacy. So, I put a post out there because those who know me know I'm not ashamed of where I come from or what it took me to get to where I am. So back to the post. So I talked a little bit about the last 30 days of my life, and without being too specific, I've been put in positions where people have used that same testimony that God has given me against me in spaces that could I'll start with this. At Bible study, my pastor talked about how when Paul when he was in Ephesus went through an experience. The experience was when opportunity comes, so does opposition. And sometimes we read these things and don't think we gotta live them. So this is a thing that I had to live. Uh, when opportunity comes, opposition follows. So, trying to figure out how to position this morning. I position it like this, so everybody can get it. There we go. Now let's find the stride. I position it like this. When you're at the cusp of doing something great, there is always a factor that would rather push you down. It's like you climb up the ladder, and it's always the enemy who's willing to push you down before you make it. So that'll work. So the last 30 days, I've had some mental growth. I've had some physical growth. I've lost some things because when opportunity presented itself, opposition did too. And one of the things about life that you always have to hold on to is, regardless how far you go in life, always remember how you got there. And if you remember how you got there and that becomes a strength instead of a weakness, nobody can use it against you. I told one of my friends who's going through something right now that you can't judge a person based off their biggest mistake. And I told my wife, the one thing I'm not going to do if I can help it is allow anyone to judge me off my biggest mistakes or missteps ever again in life. And you have to get to that point. And sometimes getting to that point is painful because it forces you to let go of some things that you try to hold on as fuel. Like shame should never be fuel. Anger should never be fuel. Frustration should never be fuel. Proving people wrong should never be fuel. Trying to show somebody should never be fuel for your vehicle. Your vehicle should be fueled by purpose. And your purpose should never be to prove somebody else wrong, to hide or overcome the shame, to show someone that you can do it. That shouldn't fuel your vehicle. Your vehicle should be fueled by purpose. And a lot of times when you're going along with your purpose, you will find things about yourself that you didn't even think still existed that has to be purged out of your life. And when you get these things and you don't want to do the work, sometimes God will do the work for you. And he'll take things from you that seem of utmost importance or that you think you can't live without because he's trying to take you to a different level. And I say that because my post was about a different level. Right now, I'm going to a different space. And I probably wouldn't have went to this different space unless I was forced to. And now I'm forced to. But it's a good thing. Because if God doesn't move in our life sometimes and take things from us that we think are trying to find a word for what I'm about to say that's not if God doesn't remove the things that we think are building blocks, because sometimes we think things are building blocks in our life, but really there are just comfortability spots that we don't want to be uncomfortable, so we hold on to it. So we hold on to a little bit of the red flags with people that we know aren't good for us. We hold on to a little bit of the peace because we don't want the chaos that will get us to another level. Because sometimes chaos is there on the other side of greatness. You got to open the door. You got to open the door. Peter had to go through chaos, and the chaos often wasn't of his own doing. It was because he was trying to spread God's word, or Paul trying to spread God's word, or David when Saul was trying to kill him. I mean, chaos happens, but chaos should never be a ladder. Chaos is just something in front of you that you have to go through to continue to propel in your purpose. That's all chaos is. And a lot of times you'll see chaos as a smoke screen, and it's there to deter you from going to where you need to be. You know, at the end of the day, you know, anybody who's not hiding under a rock can either ask or old enough to remember that I was a piece of work. You know, my mom always says, baby, you know, it was people way worse than you. All you did was so that I'm like, Mom, listen, at the end of the day, anything that wasn't promoting the life of people was bad, you know, and I contributed to a lot of families not being able to eat, selling drugs. I contributed to a lot of misfortune for a lot of people, and including myself. And just because now I'm in a space where I help people, it doesn't negate the fact of the things that I made contributions to. Because at the end of the day, you can repent, you can do all of that, but that sin is still there, and you can repent, and God can remove it from you, and you can continue to grow. But better believe when you do things ignorantly out of unbelief, they still remind you sometimes, but the reminder is not to destroy you. The reminder is to let you know that there is a greater calling and more for you to do. And that's just how I look at it. And I'm not trying to talk in circles. I'm just saying that the last 30 days, I've had some come to Jesus moments. I've had to recognize some things about myself, some things that weren't exactly loving, some self-esteem issues, some things that I did not think existed or ran from existing. I realized that I was putting the onus on myself to do so much for other people that the love was lacking for me. Because sometimes you can love somebody else so much because you don't love yourself. And I was starting to recognize that the things that I was doing as far as giving back to communities, as far as doing that, was the lack of love that I had in myself. Because if you don't have self-love, self-care is the best care. And if you don't love yourself, you will allow situations and circumstances to um, put you in a position that you will fail yourself in the process of helping others. So I went through that for a minute, and then I realized that, you know, shout out to my boy Jason Edwards. I realized that some things in life that God is forcing me to do now, I should have done already. I didn't listen. I was afraid to jump out there and do the things that he had told me because I didn't think that I would have the backing or the advocacy or the support. But you don't know until you do it. So, there's some shifts in my life that are happening right now. Some forced, some chose, some I made a choice to do, but it's all for the beauty of life. And I'm trying to make sure I don't hold people long because I know that you know people have things to do on this beautiful morning. But the one thing that my post did remind me of is that you cannot judge people based off their biggest mistakes, because that is the true testament of forgiveness. The true testament of forgiveness is to be able to tell someone that you can no longer stay there. And that's what my week has been. Telling people, hey, you can't stay there. And telling myself, you can't stay there. And you are not responsible for how someone else looks at you. You are responsible for how the mirror looks back at you and you project yourself. Now, people will look at you based on, I say it all the time, people will look at you based on their vision. They won't look at you based on what God sees for you or in you. And those that do, God sent them to be in your life. And someone is willing to look at you and say, they think they're all that, but I remember them when, that's a person that's not for you. Because if somebody's trying to remember you when and not remembering you in the present, then that's someone or something or some area that you don't need to tread. You don't need to walk through that door. You don't need to hold conversations. You don't need to partner or collab with them, because you'll find out when you're collabing with people, they're really secretly competing with you. So you have to have a mindset in which you are moving forward, and you can only have people that are moving forward with you. And anyone that is an anchor, anyone that's trying to turn you back like Lot's wife to see what's behind you, or trying to hold you to the standard of who you used to be, is someone that you need to cut off immediately, because that person is dangerous. That situation is dangerous. That job is dangerous. That relationship is dangerous. That money source is dangerous. whatever it is, anyone who is trying to hold you to a standard that you lived years ago, that you no longer live now, it is a dangerous space. It is a powder keg, and it's going to blow up on you. You want to surround yourself with situations, with relationships, with collaborations that are willing to see what you are now and how you got to where you are, rather than people who see you then and want to keep you there. I'll repeat that. You want to be with people who see you in the now and recognize what it took for you to get to the now, rather than people who see you then and would rather keep you then now. That is the main idea of the story. So cut it off. I'm telling you, cut off any I'm gonna repeat this. Cut off any relationship. Cut off any collaboration. Cut off any job. Cut off any person who is willing to judge you from yesteryear and not look at the results of today. I'm telling you, I talk to my friends all the time, my real core friends. I got about 3 or 4 real core friends in life. In life, period. In life. And we've been friends. Everybody I'm friends with, we've been friends 30 to 40 years. Real talk. Because I don't waste time. If people are, I have associates, I have people that I collaborate with, I have people that I had to stop the collaboration with because they only saw the end goal for themselves. That's another thing. If you're with anybody who only see the end goal for themselves, you're with the wrong person. You with the wrong people. You with the wrong organization. You with the wrong financial backing. Nothing should hold you to yesterday's standards. Nothing. Nothing. Because people will eventually use yesterday against you. And sometimes, in some situations, in some instances, God has called you out of that days, months, weeks, years ago, but you stay there because you're comfortable, because you don't want to step out there and do the different that you may fall flat on your face. You may do with everything because that's in your mind. If God called you to do it, He's got an avenue to make it smooth for you. It doesn't mean that the enemy is not going to throw rocks and boulders and you be tripping. But guess what? If God called you to do anything, He has a means, a resource, some finances, some collaboration, some people, some places, some things that are going to make sure you're successful. The enemy's job is to sow tear with the wheat so you don't know what it looks like, so it all looks the same, because he doesn't want you to see who's really inside of your circle, trying to twist you up, trying to take you back to a person who you used to be, to a place where you used to stay, to a situation that you used to dwell in. Because if that is where he can get you, you will feel comfortable in what you used to be, and you'll never be what you're planned to be today. It's that simple. And sometimes God will force you into that uncomfortable position where you just have to go. You know, I'll leave with this because I don't want to hold people up. Like I said, I know it's a beautiful day and people have a lot to do this morning. Um, when Samuel was anointed the prophet and Saul was the king, when Saul did not do what God said, God took the kingdom from Saul. He had Samuel say, "Go find the new king because my spirit is no longer with Saul." Right? Good morning. My spirit is no longer with Saul. Right? Samuel was afraid. Man, Saul find out what I'm doing, he gonna kill me. God said, "Samuel, fill thy horn with oil and go, because my anointing no longer with with Saul. Put this oil in this vial so you can anoint the next king, because I'm no longer here." Sometimes God will put you in a situation that feels like it's employment death, it's relationship death, it's something, and you want to hold on because you are afraid. And God is saying, fill your horn with oil and go, because I got a new purpose for you. It's attached to the purpose I've already given you. It's just a new facet, a new element. I have a new relationship. There's someone that you're going to meet that you don't even have a clue who they are. But unless I cut this off and send you, you're never going to go. You will be in a position where it felt like you're going to lose everything because God had told you you didn't need it from the beginning. But because the job felt comfortable, because the relationship felt comfortable, because the collaboration felt comfortable, because staying in your yesterday felt comfortable, because that's all you could see for yourself, because you are afraid. There's a great cliche. Everything in life is on the other side of fear. And a lot of times fear have torment, but perfect love casts out fear. And when you perfectly love yourself, you won't be afraid. You're just gonna fill your horn with oil and go. That's my word this morning. Fill your horn with oil and go. Because whatever you had back then, it's over. It is over. Thank God for the lessons, for the blessings, for the things that didn't go as planned. Even thank God for your mistakes. Thank God for the fact that if I didn't make that mistake and find myself in this position, I would have never grown into the person that I am now. Thank God for if I never was in that relationship and I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't understand that I was mentally challenged and I needed some assistance. I was emotionally broken. That man did some things physically, emotionally to me. He physically broke me, but I would have not healed and become the woman that I am, and I would have been subject to relationships like that. That woman who was consistently sleeping with everybody but me, I would have never realized who I am as a person because that's what I thought I had to hold on to because it looked like love. That job was paying me, but God had really called you to go out there on your own, and He gave you job after job after job to equip you with the things that you need to go out there on your own. That collaboration that you made, God did not allow the first collaboration to work, but then you got upset because you like every time I go to meet a different person, I realize that all they're doing is stealing from me. God said they're not stealing from you. They're showing you that your ideas really work, but you didn't trust that your idea worked, so you gave it to somebody else, and then they're showing you right in front of your face that I gave it to you and it worked, but because you didn't want to do it, I had to show you through somebody else. So instead of being upset or frustrated, I'm showing you that what I put in you can grow and work. That's it. That is it. That's what the post was for. That was a life lesson for Tinker, for Danielle Lamont Davis, for Mellow T, for Little Weasel, and all the other rapping names and nicknames I done got. What that said? Hey sis, what's going on? Good morning. We as people, just yesterday was Juneteenth. Juneteenth was a day that they had all kind of celebrations, and people were showing how far we've come and how much we've overcome. The beautiful thing in life, there's a fire somewhere. The beautiful thing in life is when you recognize that not only that you have overcome, but here's the but. Not only have you overcome, you have survived. See, a lot of people overcome things, but are they really survivors? Oh yeah, I overcame that, but you're still stuck in it mentally. You're still stuck in it emotionally. So you may have overcome the situation, but the situation still lives in you and is dormant. A lot of people have overcome, but healing didn't come with them. Healing didn't come over. A lot of people overcome, but purpose didn't come over. A lot of people overcome, but passion didn't come over. A lot of people overcome, but the willingness to do what is necessary to go forward, and not only go forward, because this is the real reason for my post. I post because I talk to people who don't have a voice, who will never say the things that I say. They just not confident. They not. People tell me all the time, man, why is you on Facebook talking about that? Because I don't have a problem with it. Because God has grown me, and I still got shortcomings. I'm telling you, sometimes things about my past beat me up. I hadn't expected it. I was an intelligent kid. Great education, great parenting. Still wanted to be out there as something I wasn't. Showing off. Showing off. Classic womanizer. Thinking I was handsome. Thinking I was God's gift. Not understanding that no little boy should be having sex at 6 and 7 years old. Literally sex. No little boy should be in full-fledged relationships at 10. And know the girls in school who are having sex too at 10 and 11. Just know. Because the enemy gave me a knowing I wasn't supposed to have. Good morning, Chauncey. Yeah, and I was the last one to smoke weed. I was the last one to drink. I was the last one to try cocaine. I was the last one to sell drugs. But you wouldn't know it if you listen to the stories. But the people I hung with will really tell you I was last. But it was easy to blame Tink for my child not doing this, my child not doing that. Because when you don't belong, you get the blame. Because you ain't got no business out there nowhere. One thing Satan will do is put you in a situation where you don't belong and you end up being the cause and effect. Because that's what happens when you don't understand your purpose. And he will trap you in yesterday so you'll never get it. I'm telling you, I'm proof positive. You know, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I'm putting myself in a position where no one can use yesterday against me. When God tried to help me do it, I was afraid. God said, well, now I'm going to force you to do it. Because the only way that I can have you reach your full purpose and potential is to force you to do it. So I'm not going to make you uncomfortable. I'm just going to have you. There's a saying by Rodney Harris. I'm full of quotes. It says, when a man makes his transition from darkness to light, he must be sure of one or two things. Either there is solid footing for which he stands, or he learns how to fly. What that means is when you're walking from darkness into light, you never seen light before. Everything's been completely dark, right? When you make that step, you need to make sure that your first step is not off a building. When a man makes his transition from darkness into light, he must be assured one or two of two things. Either there is solid footing for which he stands, or he learns how to fly. Because if you take that step and it's not on solid ground, on solid rock, you better learn how to fly. You better have some wings because you're stepping off a skyscraper. And God said, I'm going to make sure that you step off this skyscraper. And I'm going to be the only one that can catch you. Because as long as there's solid footing, you're never going to do what I need you to do. There are some people right now that's watching this live, will be watching later, that know that God has something intentionally for you and has been trying to get you to do it for years, but the anchor from yesterday won't allow you to get past the other side of fear. So he's forcing some of you to do it, and you have the capabilities and quality to do it. But you don't see the connections. You like, God has called me to start my own business, but I don't have $1 to first. But God's giving you ideas, and you share some of your ideas with people who say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then you see some of those same people take those ideas and make a business out of it. And you say, well, they had the connections, I didn't. Well, God gave you the idea, and he would have gave you the connections, but you were afraid. There are some people in some relationships right now, and you know that dude's a rat bastard. You know that female is everybody but yours. You know it. You know it. You know it. But you stay there because of your yesterdays. Your yesterdays was filled with chaos and confusion and heartbreak and dejection. So now you have created a aura of comfortability and psychological damage and emotional damage. So you stay stuck there. You stay stuck there with a man that you know ain't worth 8 cents if he had a dime in his pocket. You stay there with a woman who you know just using you for a check. And when you gone, ain't no telling where she is. She got another man or another woman or another man and a woman. You at a job right now where you make money, but they disrespect you every day, and you are more qualified than the people that are your supervisors and or your directors, and you got just as much education and or more, and you had the credentials to start your own, but you don't think that you can do it. But you're giving all your ideas and you're giving all of your substance to the same people who elevate in the company, and you're still standing there because you are afraid. I'm talking to myself. That's you want to know what the post was about? That's what the post was about. I was afraid to do what I'm doing on my own. God said, I'm going to force you to do it. Now what? Now what? Now what? That's my thing for you today. Now what? Now what is next? I finished with this, right? So almost 30 years ago to the day I went to prison, right? And every time I think that I'm finally mentally free from that, Satan sends me a reminder that, oh nah, knock, knock, knock. What I have been guilty of, which is amazing that it didn't happen. What I have been guilty of is having a mental breakdown. I'm gonna be transparent to the people on here. I've had a mental breakdown. I have been guilty of going into immense bouts of depression that I don't tell nobody about. I can talk about it now because I'm way on the other side of that. I have been guilty of not calling my therapist or things of that nature. I have been guilty of just like a caterpillar spinning myself into the cocoon. But this time, for and it happens every time that God gives me an enlightenment. When I spin myself into the cocoon, I came out as the butterfly. What the enemy meant for evil, God works out for your good. Joseph said, yeah, you threw me in prison and all of that, but what the evil was meant for me, God worked out for my good. That same situation I went through, I now can have my family delivered. They will never suffer from famine. The children will grow. My dad will understand that his sons will be taken care of forever because the lineage has been set. Sometimes that cocoon is totally meant for your butterfly experience. But we're afraid to climb in that tree and spin it. And sometimes God said, I'm going to force you to do it.